Right, so that poem. That poem's part of a show I do about climate change. It's a show that I do to get people talking about climate change and laughing about climate change. And actually, I don't. In the show, there's nothing about facts or figures at all. This is not a plug, by the way. Come and see the show if you want, or whatever. But there's no facts or figures in this show, right? Actually, what I found engages people about climate change is just talking about the fact that central to the whole climate thing is a question of justice, right? And the fact that look at housing. You've got 30,000 people dying every year. It's the highest rate in Europe from cold, damp, and poor housing in this country. It's a shameful figure. And
come to a wet field.
And they can't afford. They're in fuel poverty because they can't afford fuel, right? Because we're told that we can only have this cheap, expensive, scarce stuff which is being mined on the other side of the planet.
They're actually cutting with all the stuff that we say they could use, but they don't tell you that.
Etc. Thank you. When actually we can have energy just by fucking, look at this place, man. This is run off the sun. This is solar. This is photovoltaic. Do you know what I mean? And look at the fucking energy in this place. Woo! It's high voltage. High voltage. I don't know where I was gonna go with that. I just wanted to say that, and do you know what I mean? So that's why I did that poem. I'm gonna do another poem now because this is why we're here, isn't it? To listen to this poem.
Well done. Well done.
Right, so this
Rants are good too.
Can we talk? Like, sorry to be rude, but can we talk? I mean, we can talk as much as we want after the set. So whilst I'm doing a poem, if you're doing that whilst I'm doing a poem, it might be problematic. Okay, cool. So this is a poem about Occupy. I was living in a tent, and I was really inspired by this whole kind of like taking of space, in the world that's trying to consume space and take away what's public, and squeeze us into these. So the act of taking space and occupying and sitting on the fucking doorstep of the 1% or whatever you want to call it, and saying, we know where you live, we know what you're doing, and we're going to stay here until we get justice, is fucking immensely radical in the tradition of the diggers, in the tradition of, Cat Brogan was talking about Jesus was an occupier, he kicked the gamblers out of the temple. All of this. Anyway, so it's like an ancient tradition, occupy, spatial. Space is massively political, and there's nothing more, and squatting is political, whether you put a big P on it or whether you just do it, do you know what I mean? Space. 0.65, only just over 0.5% of the population of this country owns 69.5% of all the land. So 0.5% of us own almost 70% of this fucking country, and we're squeezed into these tiny urban fucking enclaves, and we have to fucking work as slaves in these meaningless fucking temp jobs so that we can we have the right to live in the city or whatever we're doing, and so we're squeezed, and this keeps housing prices high. So once we just, I don't know. Okay, that's my rant over. Woo! So Occupy. This is
fucking poem. Just say that, but make it right.